Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the June Council meeting. We'll get underway. 5 p.m. The Yorkshire Council acknowledges the Ballardong people of the Noongar Nation, who are the traditional owners of the country where this meeting is being held, and we recognise their continuing connection to the land, water, sky and culture. We pay our respects to all these peoples and their elders past, present and emerging. In accordance with Regulations 14L and 14J of the Local Government Administration Regulations 1996, notice is given that this meeting is in video and audio recorded to facilitate community participation and for the minute-taking purposes. By being present at this meeting, members of the public consent to the possibility that their image and voice may be recorded. Audio recordings are published on the Shire's website following the meeting and may be released upon request to third parties. Members of the public are reminded that in accordance with section 6.16 of the Shire of York Local Government Council Meetings Local Law 2016, nobody shall use any visual or vocal recording device or instrument to record the proceedings of council without the written permission of the presiding member. I wish to draw the attention to the disclaimer notice contained within the agenda documents and advise members of the public that any discussion or decisions made at this meeting today can be revoked in accordance with Regulation 10 of the Local Government Administration Regulations 1996. Therefore, members of the public should not rely on any decision until formal notification in writing from the Shire has been received. Any plans or documents in agendas and minutes may be subject to copyright. The express permission of the copyright owner must be obtained before copying any copyright material. There's no change to standing orders. We have no visitors. And declaration of proximity interest. Nil. Declarations of financial interest. I have 4. I'll read the disclaimers when we come to each item. Disclosure of impartial interest. Councillor Smythe has a declaration of impartial interest. Attendance. There's myself, Councillor Kevin Trent, Shire President, Councillor Dennis Warnick, the Deputy Shire President, Councillor Chris Gibbs, Councillor Kevin Pike via electronic means, Councillor Denise Smythe and Councillor Peter Wright. In accordance with Regulation 14C of the Local Government Administration Regulations 1996, the Shire President has authorised Councillor Pike to attend the meeting via electronic means. Having given consideration to the location from which Councillor Pike is attending the meeting and the equipment used in attending the meeting, confirming that they are suitable to enable effective engagement in deliberations and communications and ensuring confidentiality. The staff, we have Zelina Behan, our Acting CEO, Mr Lyndon Mellor, our Executive Manager, Infrastructure Development Services, Ms Rebecca Palumbo, Acting Executive Manager, Corporate and Community Services, and Ms Vanessa Green, our Council and Executive Support Officer. We have apologies from Mr Chris Linnell, our CEO, who will be back on the 7th of July. Leave of absence, there's nil. And there are, how many people in the gallery?
20.
20. We'll take that as a good number. Now, questions from previous meetings. Ms Diane Buckley, why did it cost $13,191.75 to install new stainless steel barbecue into existing fittings with gas operating system at Gwongamine Park? And my response, the total cost to replace 3 barbecues at Wongamine Park was $24,975, excluding GST. The initial payment of $14,280.75 was made in November 2024, presented to Council in December 2024 ordinary meeting. In accordance with policy F2, procurement, it is a requirement to seek 3 quotes for any purchase above $20,000 to $50,000. Officers subsequently sought quotes from 3 suppliers and 2 of the suppliers declined to quote. The existing barbecues were over 20 years old and damaged, with parts unavailable to be sourced to repair them. They were therefore required to be replaced in their entirety, requiring matching control systems and push buttons operations to be refitted into the existing fittings. We move to unasked questions. We have nil. Public question time. And we have 2 questions. Sorry? Well, we're opening public question time at 5:05. And the first question comes from Karen Thomas on behalf of the York Business Association. Do you want me to read this, or are you going to...
I'm happy to read it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Very well.
My first question, as the state government have abandoned the idea of eradicating the shot hole borer in favour of a containment plan, will the Shire be making any contact with the appropriate minister to ensure there are adequate regulations to stop the spread of this insidious insect into the regional agricultural and forest areas, and confirm that these regulations will be rigorously enforced?
Thank you, and I'll respond. The Shire has not received any official notification from the relevant minister's office. However, informal advice containing a link to the state government announcement was shared with the sector via the West Australian Local Government Association on the 19th of June 2025. While the funding announced by a local government is welcome, more is needed, particularly for those on the outside the quarantine area zones, to ensure the long-term integrated post-management plan is appropriately addressed to spread the spread the risk. It is unacceptable that local governments now face additional ongoing costs on managing the shot hole borer. Response. WALGA, the Local Government Association, advises it will continue to advocate for increased support, greater transparency and long-term financial commitment to the state government to ensure that the shot hole borer is appropriately managed. The Shire of York is participating in that campaign, if able, as that will likely produce a better, effective than individual approach. And incidentally, people from the metropolitan area shall not bring waste material, timber, trees, etc., up to the York tip. We only accept local material at the tip. Your second question?
Well, that partly answers parts of my second question, Mr. President. Will the Shire also put out some information to local ratepayers regarding bringing timber, plants, etc., from other areas into York and surround? Because obviously we also have a lot of ratepayers here who don't live here permanently, and that could affect stuff coming into the area.
That is true. And the response is, in June 2022, the Shire of York made the decision to reject any green waste brought in from outside the Shire boundary to reduce the risk of borer spreading to the York area. This is checked on receipt of green waste material at the waste transfer site and is being communicated to the community at various occasions since. The Shire can distribute information to the community again through its normal channels and will consider including a special notice in the distribution of the 2025 rate notices. 25-26 rate notice. So, yeah,
Thank you
we're
very
doing
much.
our best to let everyone know.
Thank you, Mr. President.
That's the last question that we have from anyone that's written in prior. Now, I understand Mrs. Fero wants to leave early, so I'm going to suggest that perhaps she might ask her question.
So we've got a hand up over there.
Diane wants to say something.
Jane, if you'd like to come forward and ask a question.
I'm just saying I have a question, and the lady next to me also has one.
I'll just do mine.
I know we've got quite a few people want to ask questions, so Jane's got to get out of here to see a doctor.
Jane Farrow. Several people in the community have brought to my attention that they are confused and distressed at how their rate payments are being handled of late by the Shire when their rates are overdue. Some are saying they didn't believe they owe as much as the Shire is claiming that they owe. Can you explain why they are receiving unpleasant, even threatening letters from the debt collector instead of notices originating from the Shire first? And I've been told even those who have payment agreements are receiving letters from the debt collector.
Madam CEO, could you answer the question, please?
Yes, I can, through the chair. So my understanding is different to that. We, at the Shire, our rates officer actually sends out notices to people for at least a year before we actually engage in any other way. We haven't had a debt collector on board for probably about a year and a half. We have just engaged one now. They have just sent a letter requesting payment. There have been some instances where they've gone to the wrong people. We are aware of some, particularly with pensioner deferments. That was 13 people in total. And they have all but one called in and made a separate arrangement very successfully. I will just pass it on to our acting EMCCS to see if she's got anything to add to that. But those people are not necessarily contacting the Shire with those queries. And if you do know of anyone that is doing that, they really must be ringing us. We're the only ones that can resolve. And over to our acting EMCCS.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. President. In regards to those that have received letters from the debt collection agency, they are all aged debts in excess of, up to over 3 years at times, and they are ratepayers who have not engaged with any other previous process through the Shire to make arrangements. Many of them are now either addressing their debt or coming forward with payment arrangements, but it is a step in a well-established process, and it is not the first step. So, there is opportunity at every step of the way for people to make arrangements with the Shire. So, yep.
Well, that's minuted. I hope that they'll read that. Thank you.
Now, who was next? Diane?
My question relates to...
And you are Diane Buckley,
Diane
is that
Buckley,
right?
yes, sorry.
Thank you.
My question relates to Gomergoan Park. The response given was great, but I have a further question. Regarding the park, was there an assessment completed as to how many people are utilising the barbecue area prior to spending $24,000 to refurbish the barbecues? Also, was a costing done to repair the walkway down to the river?
I'll ask the CEO if she can answer the question.
So that's two questions. Are those the two questions you want to have tonight?
Yes, please, yes.
So I'll address Gomergoan first, the structure, just because that's got the most easy and direct answer. So we are seeking a structural assessment of that, the structure, next year. We've actually got that budgeted for. We need to get an assessment as to whether it's too expensive to repair or that it's a reasonable repair, and we would like to keep that going. For the first question, I'll just pass that on to our EMIDS and just see if he has that detail.
So just to clarify, that first question was around the barbecues, is that correct?
Yes, was an assessment done as to how many people are utilising that area before spending 24,000?
So I guess staff anecdotal information was, I guess, considered in making that judgment to upgrade the barbecues. I guess no formal assessment that we've got documented, but the advice from staff and who monitor the usage of the site was that they do get used, and we do have cleaners that have to clean them, and the depot team do maintain them regularly, and so they're seeing that use as well. And so the feedback from staff was it warranted upgrading those barbecues.
Okay, thank you.
Next person who wishes to ask a question.
Thank you. My name is Gillian Willoughby, Mr. President. I'm asking a question regarding an item further down in the agenda. Is it appropriate to do it at this time, as I have not been to one of the Shire meetings before?
Just bring the microphone down.
Sorry, I'm short. I was just saying, is it appropriate to ask a question now to do with an item later down in the agenda
No,
tonight?
it's best if you ask the question now. You
Okay.
won't get an opportunity when we start the debate.
Thank you. That's what I was unaware of. One of the questions I have is to do with the application for an animal farm to be created on a property adjoining mine. And one of the questions I have is about the any complaints that the plan has put in there, that any complaints that are made will be addressed in a certain manner. There is no. The owners of properties around, myself included, are wondering if there's a strategy in place to do with any communication about anything to do with that property. There's none been put. We have not been advised by the owners of the land that are putting this plan in place of anything regarding the property. Nothing has come to us from the owners. It's come through the Shire. We haven't been contacted in any way. In fact, we've all been blocked in any social media. So we're just wondering what sort of communication, strategy there would be with any neighbours. If we do have a problem with it, to how we address those issues, because there's nothing in place that we are aware of to do with that.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask the CEO if she could address that.
Thank you. I'll pass that through to our Exec Manager, Infrastructure and Development Services.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you through the chair.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I was going to provide a response for that one.
Sorry.
So within the agenda item, it does go over, I guess, some of the concerns that were raised by surrounding residents, and it outlines, I guess, how those will be mitigated. So the owners agreed to resolving several of those concerns. I guess in terms of any ongoing complaints, I guess the initial complaint would be, I guess, depending on the type of complaint. So if it's a nuisance complaint or other things, there would be times where it becomes a civil matter and you would deal directly with your neighbour. But I guess if it was a noise or another planning sort of item, then you would engage with the Shire for resolving that. So it's hard to give you an answer of how you would resolve that based on an individual item, but there would be different situations for.
So there's no need for any sort of communication strategy by the owners of the land to people through the locals. The property is landlocked. Sorry, the property is landlocked.
We're starting to debate the issue.
Sure.
Do you have a second question?
Yes, I did, but I'm sorry, I forgot what I wrote down. It's a while ago. So, yeah, just the handwritten one that was done. The second one, I think it's to do with the road itself.
Significant, you're suggesting there's a significant increase in the traffic flow to an easement that is maintained by the local owners. That's the gist of your question, isn't it?
That's correct. What we're concerned is it'll be 3 days of a week, and on weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, both morning and afternoon, where there'll be at least 3 extra vehicles morning and afternoon. The road is very poor at the moment, and it's only can legally be maintained by the owners of the property the road easement is on, and the concern is just due to the maintenance, etc. of that.
Okay. Well, I'll ask the CEO if you may care to answer.
So the advice provided as part of the item is that there are only 3 days of operation. There are only 2 times that people will be accessing, and it is family groups only. So at every single time, there's only 6 times, and 1 family group will be allowed. That is not a significant increase.
Okay. So that's answers to your question. Does anyone else have any questions?
Thank
In
you.
the back corner. Thanks, Jill. You state your name.
My name is a bit taller. My name is John McAlpine, and I would like to ask a question regarding the small animal establishment.
Okay.
I am a landowner of a large portion of the easement that is required to travel through, and my concern is that the land is actually part of my working property with access to various parts of my farm, that being the only access through with with machinery, and also to my mother-in-law's property, which is adjoining. So on the weekends, it's very heavily trafficked by me with machinery. And I'm just wondering where the Shire stands on if they know what the legal obligations are if an accident was to occur on my farm through visitors.
So that's your question. What's
That's-
our legal obligations? Okay.
Well, with the advice that you've given, the applicant. Yeah.
The CEO or engineer respond.
So I will pass that on to our engineer to respond.
Thank you. Through the chair, I guess it would be similar to any other accident that would occur on a shared driveway. So if you have an accident with one of your neighbours, it would be a similar process where you would deal with your insurance provider and that person would deal with theirs. I can't, I guess, comment on anything further than that because that's really to do with individual circumstances of an accident. But it is a shared driveway, and so it would be applied like any other sort of accident.
Okay.
Okay. Next question. Yes.
Thank you, President. David Sparrow. I'm actually asking a question on behalf of Coral Middleton, who lives up near the bridge, up near on the bypass there. She was too scared to come down today, but I'm hoping she's going to submit the question in writing. Basically, is how we're going in regards to the future of the bypass, and I believe she's emailed through a request for a traffic count, but apparently a lot of residents around there are very distressed by all the trucks, the engine brakes going on, which we can hear from nearly a kilometre away anyway early in the morning.
Question?
So the question is, what sort of progress is happening regarding the bypass, which was supposed to take away a lot of truck traffic from coming through on the Great Southern Highway bypass, and the vehicle count, because about the noise going on there.
Okay. Well, currently there is no bypass.
Exactly, yeah.
So all the trucks will continue to use Balladong and Henrietta through the town,
Yep.
or down the Avon Terrace down towards the wheat bin. In terms of the rest of the question, the noise, if I could ask the CEO.
Sorry, would you mind just repeating that
Yes,
part?
so
Was that traffic count?
Yes, there was a traffic count put in place because apparently she's requested that much regarding the amount of trucks coming through and the noise coming from it, excessive use of engine brakes and all that, and the loss of quiet enjoyment in the whole area. And we know it's been an ongoing issue, and I believe the council has visited this before.
Hang on.
So the question
The question
is, what is the council doing, or is anything happening about the noise issues coming from the
Okay.
trucks?
So that's a question, and we'll
Yep.
answer that.
So we are considering that at the moment. There has been a request to put in a sign that actually asks truck drivers to reduce their noise. We did actually, quite some time ago, I think 2022, 23,
23. More recent, yeah.
we had advice from Main Roads, and their suggestion was that it rarely actually has a result and can actually have a negative result. Based on that, we decided not to proceed at that time. We are reconsidering that at the moment. We did receive some written literature from the owner, and we are deciding whether we do look at that. I think that's recent conversations are that's something that we could consider that could alleviate but there is a risk that it could actually increase the noise. And unfortunately, once they're in, my understanding is they don't get taken away. So we'll probably be contacting her to discuss before we proceed.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I tend to agree. Yeah, you ask them to go quieter, they become noisier trying to go
You've asked your
quiet.
question.
Right,
Thanks
thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Yes? Your name, please.
My name's Seth Pywell. And I just got a question again about the animal establishment.
Yes.
Obviously, we're in a capitalist society, and if you want to run a business, in principle, I've no problem with that. My question is actually to do with the easement and the management of the easement. It doesn't run through any of my property, but I do share it. And the question is more to do with how do we control... We've got issues from time to time with people. It's signposted 20 kilometres an hour. It seems to be a community thing, how everyone settled on the 20 kilometres an hour. I was pulled up for driving too fast when I bought my property. So what I did is...
What's your question, please?
I put up 20k speed limit signs, which is what the community has agreed to. My question is, if we've got people coming and using that easement, exceeding the speed limit and driving dangerously, what's the recourse there? It's not a gazetted road. How do we manage that?
CEO, be able to answer that, please, or EDMS?
So through the chair, my understanding is there is going to be a management plan put in for the use of the easement, but I will pass it on to the EMIDS for that specific query.
Yeah, thank you. As you've identified, it's not a gazetted road, so there's no enforcement that the Shire or anyone else can take. I guess that would be on the individual landowners that are part of that easement to come to some agreements on. And as the CEO stated, there is, as part of the development requirement, a requirement for the owner of the property who's put forward the development to put together a management plan, which will also identify how they manage traffic in and out. I guess with that as well, the Shire did seek advice from Main Roads on, I guess, the entranceway onto that easement, and Main Roads have I guess, and this is part of the development requirements, have put a condition that the owner do some work on the crossover as well into that easement. So there will be some onus on the owner to do those works. But past that, it becomes a private matter between the landowners to manage the speed.
So the landowners can manage the speed?
That's correct.
Yeah. Is that a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Question mark.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
No more questions? Then I'll close public question time at 5:28, and thank you all for your questions. We have applications for leave. No one. Any petitions? Nil. Presentations? Nil. Deputations from Marina Cheeser. You're going to be asking the question, are you?
No, I'm actually speaking on behalf of Marina Cheeser and also Dr. Marion Kickett regarding this deputation. They've actually deputised me to be the deputation.
Right.
Was approved. Yeah. Good evening. Right, thank you. David Sparrow speaking on behalf of Marina Cheeser, and also Dr. Marion Kickett. The deputation is in relation to the property at 1 Wheeler Street, York, which was previously the York Drive-In. Now, Marina, she says, her letter is, which has been submitted for everyone previously, the property was owned by her father, Giovanni Chiesa, from approximately 1968 to 1972, then sold to John Rogers, who owned it till his death. It has since been his estate and has recently been put on the property market, and according to estate agent Anik Dagila, is currently under offer with the condition that approval for a subdivision into 10 lots be gained. Taking this to be correct, I wish to object to this property being subdivided, whether now or in the future, and that it remains heritage restoration for a number of reasons relating to the integrity of York Heritage Precinct, the Aboriginal heritage, the stream running through the property, York local cultural history of the area. The cultural and heritage value of the old York Drive-in property cannot compare to its monetary value and is of greater value to the Shire of York in the long run as it retains the flavour of York's wheatbelt country town history. If this is eroded, then York's cultural integrity, character and tourist value is lost. This is in danger if heritage buildings areas are altered or demolished and high-density development continues in the centre of town. The old York Drive-in in One Wheeler Street is currently in the heritage precinct of York. It is lined by heritage buildings and, though left disused for 40 to 50 years, is part of York history and that many locals and regional people remember. When queries were made to the Shire prior to its being put up for sale, the information given was that the building on the property was not to be altered in any way, and if restoration was to be made, it had to be like for like and restored to its original condition to maintain the history of the building. The altering or demolishing of this building was said to be prohibited. This rule should not be altered because now it is for sale. Part of the property has a stream running through. To have a high-density multi-residential area this close to a natural stream would be polluting. Digging deep sewage through the area would also not be acceptable to Aboriginal heritage. It is also on a floodplain. Many locals and visitors would be very happy to see it restored in some way to either a drive-in, open-air theatre or cultural venue of some kind. It would complement the appeal of York for both the locals and visitors. If a subdivision were to be permitted, this would preclude the possibility of this occurring, as then planning for multiple buildings would be allowed. A high-density living area within the heritage precinct of York, besides losing the historical significance of the site, would erode York's appeal as an iconic Australian country town. Notably because of this stage, it is mainly intact. It has been the reason that York has attracted filmmakers, as it is currently the epitome of small Australian wheatbelt town. Once this is lost, the distinctive character will erode, diminish and be lost forever. Though it is important for people to have somewhere to live in a current housing shortage, there are many areas outside the central heritage precinct that would be more suitable. For these reasons, I, Marina obviously, object to the subdivision of One Wheeler Street and suggest that the restoration of the drive-in some way or form would be most beneficial to the community, most respectful to the land's heritage and stream, and follows that York's appeal as a tourist town remains intact. If heritage value is maintained, the next purchaser would be required to restore the buildings and possibly develop as a drive-in, theatre or cultural venue of some kind. If subdivision is approved, this would preclude that possibility. Marina, understands that WA Planning Commission makes the final decision, but this will be made in consultation with the Yorkshire Council. So I present this case, which simply requests the upholding of the Shire's original heritage requirements. Yours sincerely, Marina Chesa, BA English Literature, DipEd Fine Art, MA Art Therapy. She's included a whole bunch of excerpts, which are actually included, but I'm aware I've only got 10 minutes of time, and so I think it's important I also read the letter. It was also from our Dr. Marion Kickett, who's obviously a York associated here as a Balladong. Dr. Marion Kickett has written and asked me to read this out. Property 1 Wheeler Street, York. Concerning the property at 1 Wheeler Street, York. As an Aboriginal traditional custodian of York, I strongly object to this property being subdivided, whether now or in the future, and that it remains as it is. This land was an original Balladong settlement area, which is why it's called Balladong Farm, and has a significance to the history of the Aboriginal people in the area. It was also an original York settlement area, so has double significance, which needs to be acknowledged and maintained as a heritage area rather than a commercial real estate development. Part of the property has a stream running through. To have a high-density, multi-residential area this close to a natural stream would be detrimental. Polluting and digging deep sewage through the area is not acceptable to Aboriginal heritage. It is on a floodplain, so this is very concerning for a number of reasons. Many locals and visitors would be very happy to see it restored in some way to either a drive-in, open-air theatre or cultural venue of some kind. It would complement the appeal of York for both locals and visitors. If a subdivision was permitted, this would prevent the possibility of this occurring, as then planning for multiple buildings would be allowed. For this reason, I object to the subdivision of 1 Wheeler Street and suggest that the restoration of the drive-in in some way or form would be most beneficial to the community, most respectful of the land's heritage and stream, and it follows that York's appeal as a tourist town remains intact. If heritage value is maintained, the next purchaser would be required to restore the buildings and possibly develop it as a drive-in theatre or cultural venue of some kind. If subdivision is approved, this would preclude that possibility. I present this case, which simply requests the upholding of the Shire's original heritage requirements. Yours sincerely, Dr. Marion Kickett. And if you'd like, and by your indulgence, councillors, I would also like to follow on read what Marion, who actually grew up in the area and remembers it fondly. She had some excerpts she's provided to you. There's a link there which I think you can click through. And it actually gives the history of how when the settlement when the drive-in was first opened and how significant it was and how it was popular there. She's also intimated, and as I've heard, and I've spoken with other people about this, I mean, it would be fantastic for York, and this is me now personally talking, that, hey, for car clubs and all sorts of stuff, if we could actually some way get that established back there, it would put York really on the map as something that's actually far more useful for young and old than yet another housing development. But that was the deputation from Marion Kickett, Dr. Marion Kickett, and Maria Natesa, whose father grew up in the area and developed and ran the drive-in once upon a time. So I understand this is basically preemptive because nothing has come before council as yet regarding approval there. But I think that it's important that these things be logged now and, for attention. Thank you for your time. And if there's any questions, I'm sure I will get them to them to get back to you.
Any questions of Mr. Sparrow on behalf of Marina and Dr. Kick? No questions? Well, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you for your time.
Pass it on to Marina and Marion that you've stated a case.
Thank you.
We have a deputation from Natasha Atkinson on behalf of York Racing Incorporated.
Good evening, President, councillors and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Natasha and I'm the Chair of York Racing Inc. I'm here to speak in support of Wheatbelt Regional Carriage Driving Club and urge Council to adopt Recommendation 1 and move swiftly to negotiate a lease. Why yes matters? 1, we have a ready community-minded tenant. Wheatbelt Regional Carriage Driving Club is a not-for-profit sporting club run entirely by local volunteers. They are ready to activate the 15 hectares of land that currently sits idle, land co-owned by the York Racing Inc. and the Shire of York. If we delay, they may be forced to seek land in another shire, and York may risk losing both economic and community benefit of their activation. 2, it aligns perfectly with the racecourse's purpose and equine precinct vision. The Crown Grant requires uses that support racing-related activities. Carriage driving, riding, training and education all fall within that scope and align with the equine precincts referenced in the recently endorsed local planning strategy. Approving this lease is the first practical step in bringing that strategy to life. 3, minimal risk, maximum return. From a legal compliance, the proposal aligns with Section 3.58 of the Local Government Act and the Memorandum of Understanding with York Racing Inc. The financial upside is Wheatbelt Regional Carriage Driving Club will fund their own infrastructure, insurances and maintenance. The Shire's cost is minimal, while York benefits from increased visitation, overnight stays and equine-related spending. Reputation, showing that York is open and welcoming to equine groups, sets the foundation for a thriving multidiscipline equine hub. 4, delay sends the wrong message and risks losing momentum. Equine sport is growing rapidly across WA, and other shires are actively seeking to attract clubs like Wheatbelt Regional Carriage Driving Club. A deferral tonight risks leaving the club in limbo and would damage confidence in York's ability to act on good opportunities. We ask the Council tonight to consider providing in-principle support and direct the CEO to begin formal negotiations. This maintains a required safeguard that allows the process to begin now and not 6 months from now. We have the land that should be alive with...
Hang on. It's all right.
Oh.
Carry on. I'm keeping an eye on the time.
That's okay. We have the land that should be alive with horses, carriages and spectators. We have a committed club ready to bring that vision to life at no cost to the community, and we have a clear legal and strategic pathway before us. Let's seize the opportunity, approve the recommendation and make Wheatbelt Regional Carriage Driving Club the first cornerstone tenant that what could become one of York's most exciting community and tourism precincts. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Natasha. Any questions from the councillors? Councillor? Yes, Councillor Warnick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Natasha, could you just give a brief rundown of what exactly it is that the Wheatbelt Regional Carriage Driving Club does, and just the nature of a day out at the driving club? Is it racing, or is it more sort of restorative, or
racing?
What do you actually do?
I'm not. Ollie
do
is
they
here
do?
tonight to speak on behalf of Wheatbelt Regional Carriage Driving. So with York Racing, we're just going to be leasing the land. I have watched now, since I've become a follower of Wheatbelt Regional Carriage Driving on Facebook. They do have their shows, well, I think you call them meets, and where they do race the carts. Then obviously the other days are training days. But Ollie's looking to engage all the other equine clubs in the area and bring them in too. So they will fall under Wheatbelt Regional Carriage Driving Club. It's a mouthful, Ollie. And then, so the other groups, like, would it be like Wheatbelt Regional Cowboys, the barrel riding clubs, the equine activities, and they would all fall under Ollie, and then it would be a multi-use. But Ollie's club meets, I believe it's once a month for the race, for their show meets. So they're quite an active club. Does that answer your question? Sorry, Ollie can answer more.
It does go somewhere too, so yeah,
Anyway,
I'll
we'll
hear
have
more later.
Ollie come along
Yeah,
after you.
Ollie can fill in the gaps. Thanks.
Okay.
Any further questions, councillors? No. Looks like you're on, Ollie, with answers, please.
Good evening, councillors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening regarding Officer Report SY 059-0625. My name is Oliver Tester, and I'm here on behalf of the Wheatbelt Regional Carriage Driving Club, a not-for-profit organisation affiliated with Equestrian Western Australia, who are seeking the lease of land at the western end of York Racecourse to develop and use as a club equestrian facility. Our members bring decades of collective experience across a broad range of equestrian disciplines and have played key roles in the planning, development and management of equestrian facilities across the state, including leading the establishment of grounds in other regional communities such as Dwellingup. This extensive practical experience, combined with deep, trusted relationships across the wider equestrian community, makes our club particularly well placed to take on the development and stewardship of a new multidisciplinary equestrian facility here in the Shire of York. We have already commenced early consultations with local and regional equestrian groups, including the local pony club, adult riders, the Australian Horse Archery Association, and those involved in agility and Western disciplines. These discussions have provided strong early direction, highlighting the need for a facility that is flexible, safe, and thoughtfully designed to support a wide range of uses, such as carriage driving, dressage, show jumping, trail riding, horse archery, in-hand showing, and more. Our club is ready to take the next step, to lead a collaborative co-design process that brings all these voices to the table and ensures the site meets current and future needs. We are committed to working closely with the Shire and with user groups to ensure the site is developed sustainably with the right infrastructure in place to support growth in local participation and regional events. The ability to formalise our role through a lease would allow us to begin that work in earnest. It would provide the clarity and structure needed to progress site planning, seek funding opportunities, and start staging development in partnership with local contractors, businesses and volunteers. Formalising the lease is a logical and enabling step that would support efficient and accountable project delivery. Our goal is to create more than just an equestrian facility. We want to build a valuable community asset that strengthens participation, attracts visitors, and generates positive outcomes for the broader region. Already, ideas like the inclusion of an equine agility course have emerged from local input. In summary, the Wheatbelt Regional Carriage Driving Club Inc. brings the right mix of experience, capability, and collaborative spirit to deliver a successful outcome. We understand what it takes to plan, build, and maintain equestrian infrastructure, and we are committed to doing so in a way that reflects the Shire's needs and aspirations. We therefore welcome Council's support for option 1 to provide in-principle support for the leasing of the site to our club and to authorise the CEO to enter into formal negotiations. Thank you again for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Does Councillor Warnick, do you have any more questions? No? Anyone else have any questions? Councillor Gibbs?
Councillor Gibbs speaking. Thanks, Mr. Tester. I just wanted a little bit of context regarding the Wheatbelt Regional Carriage Driving Club. In terms of demographics, the age range of your members.
Yeah, sure. We have a wide range of members. So members based from Brookton all the way through to 2J. Really centrally, York is the central point for our membership in terms of location. In terms of age and demographic, we've got a wide range, including young junior members all the way through to older members who are really interested in learning about carriage driving, the history, but also when people are unable to enjoy riding and continue that aspect, the ability to step into a carriage and continue enjoying that passion of being with their horse is something that's really attractive and something we get a lot of people feeding into our club through.
Thank you very much.
Any further questions, councillors? No. Thank you very much, and we'll take your points on board when we come to the item. I will close public question time at 5:46 and move on to delegates' reports. There's one from Councillor Smythe. And we have item 7 on the agenda, confirmation of the minutes of the previous meetings. The ordinary council meeting of the 27th of May to be confirmed as a correct record of proceedings. Someone would move. Councillor Smythe.
Councillor Smythe's happy to move the recommendation.
Have a seconder.
Councillor Gibbs, seconds. Anyone have any questions? No. Then I'll put the vote. All in favour? And Councillor Pike waves his hand. Yes. Thank you, councillors. It's carried 6-0. There's some announcements on my behalf. The first item on the agenda is SY 057 of 0625, a petition for mandatory street number signage. And we'll move to the recommendation. Someone prepared to move? Councillor Warnick.
Councillor Warnick moves the motion.
Councillor second, Smythe.
Councillor Smythe is happy to second the recommendation.
And I would like to put an amendment that we refer the item to WALGA, Local Government Association. Not yet? Oh, okay. Well, it was going to be an amendment. Yeah, or foreshadow an amendment. That we refer it to WALGA so that if this is a problem for people of York, there's bound to be other problems in other local governments. So we'll put the motion. All those in favour? One, two, three. Those against? To hear the amendment? That's been lost. And I will move my amendment. That the item be referred to WALGA to seek their opinion on whether this is an issue which concerns all local governments.
Is that in addition to those?
That's an additional to those.
So 0.5.
0.5, yes.
So would you, if you just for Vanessa's sake, if you could just
But the
reword so she's sure.
an additional item 5, that the matter be referred to the West Australian Local Government Association to ascertain whether this is an issue which impacts on all local governments. Thank you. If I could speak to it. I'm certain that with our neighbours, there'll be similar situations out there, and if we can get it clarified, then maybe we need to go further than a policy.
Would you like to second it, Mr. President?
Yes, I would.
Councillor Warnick seconds the motion with the amendment.
Anyone wish to speak against the motion or the amendment?
I have a question.
Yes, councillor?
And my question is, if it was equal votes, does that mean it's lost?
I think it was seconded by Councillor Warnick, not Councillor Smythe. Oh, I see, right, yes, okay. Anyone speaking against it? Councillor Gibbs, you're speaking
I have a question,
the question?
if that's all right, before I decide whether to speak against it. My concern here is by adding point number 5, that if it turns out that there is an issue there that changes other elements of the resolution, that the whole thing is becoming quite convoluted, because the amendment adds point 5, which directs the CEO to forward the matter to Walga, and based on that response would potentially impact what we're resolving to do in points 1 through 4. I'm just asking the question of whether this is the right way to go.
CEO, like to answer the question?
So this will formulate a policy position. At any point we can rescind or change a policy. If there was a direction that it should become a local law, we can take this out of circulation effectively. So we do have an option to make future changes.
Thank you.
Any further debate? Then I'll put it to the vote. Those in favour? That's carried 6-0. The next item is the development application, SY058 of 0625. Development application, animal establishment and ancillary tourist use, private farm tours on lot 1849, number 3460, Great Southern Highway, St Ronan's. We have had several people speak and question this. Councillors, the recommendation has been for you. So I will ask if anyone wants to move the recommendation. Councillor Smythe, you're moving.
Councillor Smythe is happy to move the recommendation.
Councillor Smythe's moving. Do we have a seconder?
Councillor Gibbs seconds.
Councillor Gibbs has seconded it. Anyone want to speak for the motion? You're moving. You want to speak for it, Councillor? Sorry, you want to speak? Anyone want to speak against the motion? No one wants to speak against it. Therefore, you don't have to worry about reply. Then I'll put the motion. All those in favour? It's carried 6-0. Our next item is SY060 of 0625, multi-year funding acquittal of we missed one. Right. This is SY059 of 0625. Request for use lots S90, S91, S97, S98 on deposited plan 223250, Wheatbelt Regional Carriageway Club, Inc. Carriageway Driving Club, Inc. There's a recommendation here, councillors. Councillor Smythe, you are moving, I take it?
Councillor Smythe moves the recommendation.
And seconded?
Councillor Gibbs seconds.
Seconding. Anyone want to speak against the motion? No one wants to speak against. Therefore, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? It's carried 6-0. Sorry? Yeah. Our next item is SY 060 of 0625, multi-year funding acquittal of 2024-25, Hardwired Entertainment Proprietary Limited. Remember, councillors, these are the people that hosted the motorbike festival. There's a recommendation there. Does anyone have any questions regarding this? Is someone prepared to move? Councillor Gibbs, or sorry, Councillor Warnick.
Councillor Warnick moves.
Councillor Wright seconds.
Councillor Wright seconds. Anyone want to speak against it? No. Therefore, I'll put the motion. All in favour? So we receive the acquittal. Thank you, councillors. We move through the agenda. This is SY 061 of 0625, the multi-year funding agreement, or acquittal rather, 24-25, York Community Radio Incorporated, Voice of the Avon 101.3 FM. Someone prepared to... Oh, has anyone got any questions on the item? Someone prepared to move?
Councillor Gibbs moves.
Councillor Wright seconds.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak against the recommendation or the motion? Then I will put the motion. All in favour? It's carried 6-0. Thank you. Multi-year funding, and I will declare an interest in this. I'll read out my declaration. With regard to the item multi-year funding acquittal 24-25 RSL York Sub-Branch, the matter of S062 0625, I disclose I'm a financial interest in this matter. The association is that I'm the president of the York Sub-Branch of the RSL. Make that declaration on the 24th of June 2025. And I will leave the room. Councillor Warnick, if you could go after the...
Thank you, Mr. President. Item SY 062-0625, the multi-year funding agreement, acquittal 24-25 of the RSL York Sub-Branch. Do I have any questions on the item? No questions from councillors. Do I have a mover for the motion? Councillor Wright had his hand up first.
Councillor Wright moves the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Wright.
Councillor Smythe's happy to second the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Smythe. Is there anybody opposed to the motion? There is not, so I put the motion forward. All those in favour? And that is carried 5-0. Thank you, Councillor Pike. Councillor Trent, President Trent, to re-enter the room. President Trent has re-entered the room at 5:59.
Our next item is SY 063 of 0625, the multi-year funding acquittal 24-25 York Society. I disclose I have an interest in this in that I am a member of the York Society. With regarding the multi-year funding acquittal 24-25 York Society Incorporated, being the item SY 063 of 24-25, I disclose I have a financial interest in that I am a member of the Society. I will leave the room.
Thank you, Mr. President. Councillor Warnick has assumed the chair. Councillor Smythe, you've indicated that you also have an declaration in this item.
Thank you. With regards to the item multi-year funding acquittal of 24-25 for the York Society, in the matter of item SY 063 0625, I disclose that I have an association with the applicant. The association is that I am a member of the York Society. As a consequence, there might be a perception that my impartiality on the matter might be affected. I declare that I will consider this matter on its merits and vote accordingly.
Thank you, Councillor Smythe. Are there any other declarations of interest? There are not. Do I have a mover for this motion?
Councillor Gibbs moves.
Thank you, Councillor Gibbs. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Wright.
Councillor Wright seconds the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? There is not. Therefore, I put the motion. All those in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The motion is carried 5-0. Could somebody please invite the President back into the room at 6:02?
Move on to SY 064 of 0625, multi-year funding acquittal 24-25, the Flour Mill Emporium. The recommendation is there. Any councillors have any questions? I'll ask for a mover. Councillor Smythe, you're moving.
Councillor Smythe's happy to move the recommendation.
Councillor Gibbs.
Councillor Gibbs seconds.
Seconding. Anyone want to speak against the proposal? Then I'll put the vote. All those in favour? Carried 6-0. SY 065 of 0625, the multi-year funding acquittal 24-25, the York Business Association. The recommendation is there. Anyone have any questions? No questions, therefore I'll ask for a mover.
Councillor Wright moves the motion.
Wright moves.
Councillor Gibbs seconds.
Councillor Gibbs seconds. We'll put the vote. No one wanted to speak against it, sorry. I'll put it to the vote. Those in favour? 6-0. Thank you, Councillor Pike. Right, SY 066 of 0625, a request to extend the multi-year funding agreement by an additional 1 year from the York Business Association. There's a recommendation there. Do we have any questions, councillors? Nil. Someone prepared to move?
Councillor Wright moves the motion.
Wright moves.
Councillor Gibbs seconds.
Gibbs seconds. Anyone speak against the proposal? Then I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried 6-0. SY 067 of 0625 is the next item. Community funding acquittal, the Perth Gospel Choir of Curate Arts, Incorporated. The recommendation is there. Anyone have any questions regarding this? Nil. Therefore, would someone move?
Councillor Gibbs moves.
Moves. Councillor Smythe
Councillor Smythe's happy to second.
seconds. Anyone want to speak against the motion? Nil. Therefore, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor Gibbs, you're voting, are you? That's carried 6-0. Next item. SY 068 Community Funding Applications. I disclose I have a financial interest in this item regarding the community funding applications. The matter of SY 068 of 0625, I disclose I have a financial interest in this matter. The association is that I'm a member of the River Conservation Society Incorporated. I'll leave the room and ask Councillor Warnick if he would chair the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. President. The President has left the room at 6:07. Lost it on my iPad. It's the item number. Item number SY 0680625, Community Funding Applications. Are there any further declarations of interest in this item? There are not. Are there any questions about this item from councillors? No questions. Do I have a mover for the item? Councillor Wright?
Councillor Wright moves the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. I have a seconder. Councillor Gibbs?
Councillor Gibbs seconds.
Thank you, Councillor Gibbs. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? There is not. So I put the item to councillors. All those in favour, raise your hand. That is 5-0. Thank you. Could I ask that the President be invited back into the room at 6:08?
Councillor Warnick. Now move on to SY 069, Community Funding Application Request for Tourism Funding from York Motoring Events Incorporated. And I have an interest in this item. Community Funding Application Request from the Tourism Funding York Motoring Events. Matter of SY 069 of 0625, I disclose I have a financial interest in this matter. The association is that I'm a member of the York Motoring Events. I shall depart the scene. Councillor Warnick.
Thank you, Mr. President. The President has left the room at 6:09. The item is SY069-0625, Community Funding Application, Request for Tourism Funding, York Motoring Events Incorporated. Are there any further declarations of interest in this item? There are not. Are there any questions about this item? No questions. Do I have a mover for this item? Councillor Smythe.
Councillor Smythe moves the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Smythe. The seconder, Councillor Gibbs.
Councillor Gibbs seconds.
Thank you. Is there anybody opposed to this motion? There is not. Therefore, I put it to the vote. All those in favour? That is 5-0. Thank you. I ask that the President be invited back into the room at 6:10. I shall cede the chair.
Thank you, Councillor Warnock. The next item is SY070 of 0625, a review of delegations register. And I would ask if anyone has any questions regarding this item. Anyone prepared to move? Councillor Smythe.
Councillor Smythe moves the recommendation.
Councillor Gibbs.
Councillor Gibbs seconds.
Anyone want to speak against the recommendation? Nil. Therefore, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Thank you, Councillor Pike. That's carried 6-0. Our next item is SY071 of 0625, the minutes and recommendations of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting held on the 10th of June 2025. There is a recommendation there. Does anyone have any questions on that recommendation? Councillor Gibbs?
Thank you. Councillor Gibbs speaking. I wanted to ask whether this committee has a maximum amount of members.
CEO, able to answer the question?
So in the terms of reference, we set out the number of members there. We have 2 independents. We have 3 council members sitting. We have options to, as we have done, review that regularly, and we also have options for council members to sit if we have missing members. So if we need to deputise someone to come in, if we need to reach quorum, and we also have the option to do that if we have an independent member missing as well. So we have a council member can replace them. So at the moment it is set. I don't believe there is a capped number. I'm just going to look at our council support officer. No, so we could elect for more if we wanted to, but this is what we considered and have used over the years as a successful number.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Is someone prepared to move?
Councillor Wright moves the motion.
Moves.
Councillor Gibbs seconds.
Gibbs seconds. Anyone want to speak against the recommendation? Nil. Then she'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried 6-0. Thank you, Councillor Pike. We move on to SY072 of 0625, deferment of the financial report and investments report for May 2025. Does anyone have any questions about this item? It's my understanding that we should see them all in July. So, no question. Oh, sorry, Councillor Gibbs.
Thanks, Councillor Gibbs speaking. Just double checking that presenting the May report in July 2025 doesn't have any untowards effect regarding the end of the financial year?
CEO perhaps can answer the question.
No, it's we have 2 months to present a report after the end of the month, so that's our legislative requirement. In terms of wrapping up the end of the financial year, that takes quite some time anyway. There's a good few weeks after that. Plus, it's not actually really completed until after the audit's done in October, and they've given us their findings, and then we accept the audited financials. So there's actually quite a process. So just this delay will have no impact.
Thank you very much.
Someone prepared to move?
Councillor Smythe moves.
Seconder?
Councillor Gibbs seconds.
Gibbs seconds. Anyone want to speak against the proposal? Therefore, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Thank you, Councillor Pike. Thank you, everyone else. It's carried 6-0. SY 073 of 0625, our next item, reserve transfers. There's the recommendation, moving fundings from reserves to reserves and so forth. And there are the comments and the reasons. Anyone have any questions? No questions? Have a mover then. Councillor Smythe, you're moving.
Councillor Smythe moves the recommendation.
Councillor Gibbs
seconds
the recommendation. Anyone want to speak against it? Nil. Therefore, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Councillor Pike, thank you. I'll declare that carried by absolute majority 6-0. Right, next one, item 10. Motions of which previous notice has been given. Notice of motion, proposed policy, verge and crossover management. There's a recommendation there. Anyone have any questions about this verge and crossover management? Councillor Wright.
Councillor Wright here.
It's me.
This is Councillor Wright here. I'd like to move an amendment to the existing motion, which is where it says 12 months, to change that to 6 months, and I'll tell you later the rest of it.
Do you have a seconder?
Councillor Gibbs will second that.
Councillor Gibbs seconds. Councillor Wright, can you speak to your motion? Or your motion?
I don't change anything other than time on this motion. I believe through the acting CEO that we had a discussion about this, that it can be done within the 6 months, and if we have to go over the 6 months, the acting CEO will bring it, or the CEO at the time will bring it back to us and to ask for further addition to the time. That's all it means. It doesn't change the policy whatsoever.
Thank you. Councillor Gibbs, you wish to...
Happy to support Councillor Wright's amendment to the motion. I think that 6 months is reasonable, and as outlined by the councillor just then, there's still options to extend if the 6 months isn't quite enough time for the administration to put the policy together.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak against the recommendation? No one? So I'll put the vote on the modified recommendation. All in favour? Councillor Pike, thank you. That's carried 6-0. Hang on. 5-1. Councillor Smythe voting against it. Carried 5-1. Thank you. Item 11, questions from members without notice. There's nil. Business of an urgent nature introduced by decision of the meeting. There's nil. And there are no items where we have to close the meeting to the public. Therefore, I'll close the meeting at 6:20 p.m. Thank everyone for attending. And we'll see you here next time, same place.